So we have a question that just came in around getting into product ops. So when is the right time for the transition to product ops? What qualifications and experiences set you up for success in product ops?
I think, what Becky mentioned earlier is probably a really good sort of driver for that. So if you've missed some really important milestones, the delivery is challenged. It's a time to sort of peel back the onion, right? And think about, what are we asking all the product managers to do? And like I mentioned, there's just so many things we're asking them to do and deliver it, be brilliant, be strategic, be commercial, find all the data, analyze the data, and then deliver it on time. That's a lot. So if that, it's sort of a negative moment, but you could say, you know what, I think they're being tasked with too much, and I think we need to enable them and set them up for success. Here are some areas I think that they're challenged, and by supporting that and budget, sort of scaffolding that, we can help set them on the path for better success and consistent delivery, rebuilding the trust, especially with the sales organization. So that could be a moment. It could also be, hey, manager, I just went to this great webinar and heard about this, and it seems like this could really benefit us. And if you can tie that back to the revenue, always tie that back to the revenue, not this could be cool or this would be great, but how is it benefiting the business and the customer especially? So the right time is really about you finding that moment and connecting the dots to say, aha, this is where this could sort of step in. It's not going to be everything, the 3 pillars. It might just be data initially. It could be just processes, but you find that moment and that opportunity and say, maybe it's annual planning. Maybe you sort of put your business case together and then start having conversations, talking about it, and then saying, I'd love to put this together for you. Could we talk about this? Maybe, maybe just a single head count, or maybe we could bring on someone fractional. So that would be my suggestion. Qualifications and experiences to set you up for success in products. I was just reading that question. There's no certification or anything. And I think it's really about, having the qualities that make a good products person, that empathy, that EQ, that, passion around data, or, really geeking out on processes. So it's really about, what work have you done? What experiences have you had, or what experiences have the people had that you're talking to? How can that sort of be correlated to what you need in terms of product ops? You may not find a one-to-one, but you have to think a little more broadly and understand, oh, you've been able to, set up a whole, product experimentation program. Tell me about that. And that sounds like, process and sort of the insights, and you're like, okay, this could be a really great pillar, and how could they plug into some of the other areas we might need? Becky, what do you think?
Yeah, I think you're spot on. Well, number one, I say anyone interested into it should go to Denise's masterclass, so you get to know more, right? That's like a step number one. But it's not a simple role; it's complicated.
Yeah.
Because the problem we try to solve here is not simple. And sometimes I told people, say process is a product, because it affects a lot of people, and it changes people, how they work together, what kind of outcome they drive, identify problems and solve it, right? So you need to understand how organization work, you understand how value created, you need to understand how the bottlenecks are affecting each other, and you also need to understand what people's willingness to adopt you, right? So there's all product management elements to it, and then obviously there's operational part of things, and outcome and data driven and all that good stuff. So and I think two things that Denise said is really right. You can't force that role until there's a need, and the need typically can be something bad happen, right? That's how we buy a product, because there's a problem, and that's really saying, hey, people cannot do this on their spare time anymore. We need someone focused on this, even just on the short term or fractional or whatever, like it's like, at least we can do this and move on to something else, because the problem is so bad. We get a bad product, we fail to deliver, our plan just all over the place, and we're not really aligning our goals with what we're trying to build. So the problem is definitely the main thing. And understanding, I do say the skill sets of understanding a general, product sense, the communication, Denise had a really good sort of a 2-slide to talking about the 2 types of the product ops. I definitely think both are critical elements of the success, and you kind of try to depend on how your company's needs are and focus on some of them.
I mean, one other option too is bringing someone in fractionally, just to understand and sort of objectively learn and listen and make some suggestions and recommendations. Sometimes pulling back and really understanding the challenges and needs helps. That person can set those up for you and help identify who's going to own those going forward, take the training wheels off and go. So that's one option, rather than bringing someone in and sort of building that up from the bottoms up. So that could be more of a stopgap too.
Yeah, totally agree. It's like it's sometimes easier for outsider to come in because there's just so embedded a lot of organizational interest as well. So have at least someone come outside in as just provide a more neutral view, and then you can implement. It's not necessarily quote unquote internal. You don't have the skill set. Sometimes you just need an outsider's perspective and going through that. And also it's a lower risk way for your organization to adopt this role, meaning you don't have to hire someone and it turned out there's not enough work for that person. So the fractional approach is really great because you can get real talent with a real experience and at a fraction of the cost, and then maybe just getting started. So I definitely think that's a great way to go for those kind of specialty skills.
That's a good point.
And there's probably components of the products ops skills that would be good for product to learn, like focusing on outcomes, connecting and having bidirectional collaboration and communication with the engineering team, thinking about how to actually deliver and not just plan. So those practices I expect will become more present in the day-to-day of product managers as companies evolve as well.